Hey, what's going on? Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shalom. This is Servant R.D. Romont, and Kingdom of Heaven is at hand, Kohaya. I'm here with another video. This one is entitled The Whole Ball of Wax. Yeah, that's right. The whole extent, the whole quantity, the whole 9 yards. The whole ball of wax is a terminology, an idiom that is believed that was coined back in the 17th century. And it derives from a time when they distributed land to individuals. They took a piece of paper, and whether it was scraps or what have you, and they would lay it out on a table, on a surface. And then they would put wax on the paper as, a representation of the particular land that would be distributed. And they would take those papers and the wax and ball it up and put it in a hat for individuals to draw the ball out of the hat. And so when they drew the ball, when they took the ball out, they had the whole ball of wax. Now, I don't know if that's a wives' tale or some type of idiom that was created later on. That's what I've read. But I'm going to use it for this topic today because we are living in some choppy, stormy, turbulent times, man. The Gentiles are getting out of hand. And they just going overboard, and they're going to get worse. Time is going to get worse, and there is no end in sight as far as low as the heathen will go. And so we must understand, that the Father is still in control regardless of what they are doing. We look at the trial, and you have people on both sides of the spectrum. You have Hebrews that's getting involved because I believe they fear that this may transcend into the execution of various Hebrews, but it's nothing new for us. This is our lifestyle. We have lived under every atrocious act that has been initiated and perpetrated against us. We know all of the tricks and schemes that has been played against us, whether it's been in boardrooms, whether it's been in areas of government, whether it's been in small homes and homesteads all over the country. You had people and you had dignitaries plotting against the Hebrew. So this is nothing new. So I don't know why any Hebrew would be out there protesting. They should just let things be. But then you have other people on the other side of the spectrum that's kind of, happy. And I'm speaking about this trial that went down, this Rittenhouse trial, where this young man went out and took the law in his own hands and called himself being a vigilante to try to protect property at 17 years old. What a young man at the age of 17 years doing, trying to protect property with an AR-15 out there running around with a loaded assault weapon. And you have people on that end of the equation supporting that, and they not just totally overlooking that the boy was 17, shouldn't have had possession of a weapon in the first place. And this has nothing to do per se with Rittenhouse, but this has everything to do with supremacy. This has everything to do with people that's trying to maintain a position. We see what's going on. We see that what the Father is doing, he is allowing things to be shown and seen so that his people can get a clear indicator of what's really going on. And, you have these mandates that various companies and various businesses and corporations that are affiliated with the government, that they're inflicting on people. It's crazy. You have people that's been employed with a company for many years. And just because someone writes an edict and within a few weeks, no more than 2 months, less than 2 months, they bring down a mandate. And with this edict, they have purposely arranged for people that's been employed. These companies and corporations have arranged where people that's been gainfully employed to be released, fired, then want to turn around and say that you willfully and voluntarily separated. And when the truth is told, they just fired the individual. You have that. Then you have this other case that's coming up with this Michael man. You have his lawyers trying to present to the judge, trying to get a mistrial. So these Gentiles and heathens, they are doing everything possible to hold on to their power, because in their spirit they know that a change has taken place, and so they're trying to fight it. They're trying to fight it, and they're using all the schemes and everything they established, everything that they employed to establish this country. They're reverting back to it. Next week, people will be celebrating Thanksgiving. I call it Thanks-taking. And they dress it up with being thankful to the Most High. And this is the time where people just greed just overtakes and overpower their whole person. The whole presentation is about taking. They want to sit down at the table and say they want to give thanks and eat a meal, only to get out and run rampant and drive like mad men and mad women to the nearest shopping center to grab and seize upon all the goods that are available, and rushing and storming the doors and everything. And we living in some turbulent times, and there would be pressure that would be applied to the Father's children, on all fronts. This is why I named this message a whole ball of wax. What am I talking about? Is directed to a familiar passage of scripture that's found in Romans 8:28. It's very important for us to be reminded of what Paul and what we were given. We were given this scripture for us to be, mindful. As Paul said in Romans, the 15th chapter, and I believe the 4th verse, he said, what was written aforetime was written for our learning, so that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Hope is something that is needed for a child of the Most High in these times where they are threatening people from all aspects of their existence. Pretty soon, they got these mandates and they giving these people these jabs, and I can't tell you how many people are getting sick. The people, they are suffering illnesses, they are suffering discomfort. They don't feel the same way that they did prior to receiving that jab. And so you have all of these things going on, and people are just being they're being channeled through the systems of the powers that be, that what they have constructed, they being channeled through their systems like cattle. And so the child of the Most High and those that refuse just to be pushed around and grabbed by the throat and just being led to the slaughter or led over the cliff, they are receiving all types of backlash and pushbacks and all kinds of repercussions. This is gangster that we are witnessing. The gangster on a major level, on the widespread gangster. And it ain't just here in the USA, but it's in other countries where they want to criminalize people that refuse to receive the jab. They put so much emphasis on it. They don't want you to understand. They don't want you to have the choice. They want to take away your choice. They want to take away your right to think. They don't want people to think anymore. They just want people just to follow. But the child of the Most High must understand the scripture that was written for our behalf in Romans 8 chapter and verse 28. And this is very, very familiar. There's been all kinds of songs that were written off of this scripture, based on this scripture. But I want to just bring it out and, signify why I named this message the whole ball of wax. Romans 8:28, it says, and we know that all things, that's everything. That's the whole quantity of things. That's the whole extent of things. That's everything. This is whatever you can think of, whatever you may go through, all things work together for good to those who love Yahuwah, to those who are called according to his purpose, not their purpose, well, not what they think, the things that they believe should be in favor of their plight, but according to his purpose. As I said before, you go on TikTok and you scroll down, when you see anything that's promoting anything biblical, is usually messages that are centered around an individual, centered around their well-being, centered around what they purpose, what they feel the purpose should be, and their desires, and what they feel should be favorable to them. But the scripture didn't say that. It say according to his. Who is his? The Most High Yahuwah. According to his purpose. Let me read that again. Paul said, and we know that all things work together for good. That's Paul said. Let's put a pin there. When you talk about good, you're talking about the Most High. Don't you remember when Yahushua said that there is none good but the Most High? When that young man came to him and said, good master, good teacher, what should I do to inherit the kingdom of Yah? Yahshua said, why call me good? There is no one good but the Most High. Good is in the Most High. When you look at good, when you look at the etymology, the Hebraic etymology of the word good, it goes into the signature of the Most High. It goes into the distinction. It identifies who the Most High is. This is, and it's also exclusive and is conclusive. It means that there is nothing that can be added, or there is nothing that can be taken away, or that is whole. When you look at the word good, it's kind of hard to explain these things and these terminologies when it deals with the Father, because he's so infinite. But when you talk about good, you're talking about a word that represent the Most High, his signature. And a signature is something that's distinct, is it not? A signature, your signature, it belongs to you. So therefore, good is indicative to a signature. Good, your signature belongs to you. Good belongs to the Most High. Are you listening to me? Your signature identifies who you are. You sign a document. And once you sign that document, the document is sealed. That's it. You understand? Well, good is the Father's signature. This is why in Genesis, after he created and spoke things into existence, and he said that he looked and he saw that it was good. He saw that it was favorable. He saw that it designated his favorable and his nature and his character and his desire. That's what good is in Scripture. We must understand that. We read it before. We say all things work together for good. We always thought it meant for our good. But some things that may work together in our lives and on our behalf, it may not be pleasant for us. Everything is not just going to always end up in a favorable situation from our interpretation. We must understand that all these things that's going on, all these events that's happening, we must understand, brothers and sisters, that it's working out for good. It's working out for the Most High pleasure. It's working out for the Most High Yah desire. You know what I'm saying? We must understand that. When good is spoken over our lives, there is a certain responsibility, a reaction, response that we must partake in. When good is spoken into our lives, we must understand that we must fasten into the desires and the commands of the Most High. When good is spoken into our lives, it means it's an invitation. It's a call for us to latch on to Him. So when you and me and any of us are going through a situation in life, we must understand when the scriptures say all things work together for good, we must understand all things are working together for the Most High Yah. Then it benefits to them that love us. And we may not like what's going on. Let me give you an example. This is getting long. I didn't expect to be this long. Let me try to cut this off. Job, for an example. Job, he didn't know what was going on in his life. He knew that he was suffering. He suffered the loss of his home. He suffered the loss of his family. He suffered the loss of his wife, his spouse. He suffered the loss of his servants. He suffered, he was suffering. But when you talk about all things working together for good, you're talking about everything in the element in which you live. All elements and the entire affair of where you live and what you represent as a child of the Most High. And when you talk about where you live, we just don't live here in the earth or on the particular residential address that you put on your applications or where that's been designated to where you live. But we live here and in the universe, because this is why Paul said we have no continuing city. When we understand that we do not have a continuing city, we must come to the realization that we have a home that is not of this earth. And this home would be substantiated through the power and the guidings and the leading of the Most High through our brother Messiah Yahushua. And so I'm saying all that to let you know that there are things that happen, that occurs in elements and the dimensions that's beyond our physical reach, what we can see, or what we can touch, or what we can comprehend. This all things work together for good. All things. Remember that. The whole ball of wax. I like to think of it that the Father has given all of us a territory for us to rule over. And then he say, let them have dominion. That's conclusive. We will have dominion. And the wax is what the Father has given us. It denotes and designates what he has given us. And the balling up of the paper is all the events and all the atrocities and all the difficult times and all the burdensome moments that we go through. When the Father balled it up, it's that whole ball of wax. It all represent good to the Father. It all ties into the Father's purpose, which is good. I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. So we must understand, brothers and sisters. I don't know if I did a good job explaining that, but just to put it in layman's terms, when it say all, and we know all things work together for good. All things work together for the Father's purpose. All things work together for what he desires. All things work together for what he wants to be perpetrated in the earth. That's good. To them that love Yahuwah. Then it say, to them who are called. When he called us, he gave us his name. When he called us, we were given his designation. So it all points back to the Most High. Everything points back to Yah. We must understand that. So when it say all things work together for good to them, let me read it. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Yahuwah, to them who are called according to his purpose. Well, you must understand, although what you going through may not seem good, it's good to the Father. Although what you are going through may seem unpleasant, it's pleasant to the Father. Whatever you are going through may seem burdensome, but it's a beautiful manifestation that is taking place in the Father's eyes. It may be burdensome to us, but the Father is being glorified. And this is what we must understand as we move on into all this craziness, because what he allowing us to be a part of what he's doing in his kingdom. He allowing us to be a part of the narrative. Well, we don't understand. It may be unpleasant to us, but we are working and we are rotting. He using us as a tool to perfect his creation, to purge it. You understand? Let's get back to Job. You see, Job, he didn't know what was going on. He didn't understand there was other dimensions that he was involved in. He didn't understand that Satan went to the Most High and said, he walking to and forth. And he didn't understand that the Father said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Job didn't understand all that. Job didn't know all that was going on in that realm of the spirit. He didn't understand there was a negotiation. So when we look at the scripture, all things work together. The whole ball of wax is working in our favor. And when you talk about wax, you're talking about something that's artificial. When you talk about wax, everything that we're going through is not, it won't stand up in eternity. It will founder. Everything that we are witnessing, it will not hold its weight against the Most High. So we must understand, brothers and sisters, although you may find yourself in difficult situations, if you remember that all things, the whole ball of wax, the whole 9 yards, this goes beyond what you can see. This goes beyond what you can feel. This goes beyond what you can comprehend. This goes into areas that you don't even know exist and is working on your behalf for the good of the Most High. That's a favorable position. So if you are in a favorable position through the storm, If you are in a favorable position through the difficulty, if you are in the favorable position according to the Most High, in the end, you will come out shining and thriving, and the whole creation that played a part or played a role into applying the pressure will have to acquiesce to the Most High. And when they acquiesce to the Most High, you will be in his favor. And so therefore, just like he said after he created, he said it was good. After all things that have taken place and all offenses have been executed, he will look at you just like he looked at his creation and see the good in you, because you will be a representation and a reflection of him. So understand this, brothers and sisters. There's more to your situation than what you can see, what you can hear, what you can taste, what you can smell, what you can touch. There are realms unknown that's happening, so that the Father in the end will look like he did in the beginning and say, it is good. So Romans 8:30, it talks about the predestined. This is what I'm saying. If you've been predestined, that means that it's been predetermined way in ancient times before you were even on the earth. And Romans 8:30 saying, those he predestined, he called. Those he called, he justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. This is an irrevocable, irreversible. There's nothing that can be done. All that can be done is for the Father's will is to commence. He's in control, y'all. Understand this scripture. I didn't do this scripture no justice. It's deeper than what I could really explain. But I did my best trying to get you to understand the whole ball of wax, all things is working together for good. You love him, it's working for his good. You call and walking in that calling, it's working for his good. And his purpose will be fulfilled. And his purpose is that his sons and daughter be a spitting image of himself, the Most High Yah. That's glorified like we never known before. The whole ball of wax, brothers and sisters. Everything, all elements, the entire affair is working out for good. I'm your brother, Servant RD, also known as Ramad Shalom.